The important question asking is, how can we use the concept of reflection on action to learn what recursive patterns emerge from a learning activity completed several times? The news round is a case in point. It had various goals, like fostering a critical social media literacy. Asking whys, wheres, and whats are important digital skills. But getting English students to engage with a digital learning activity was not always simple. How did she use reflection on action to make sense of the successes and failures of the news round? If we put Inger's experience into context, we can learn several aspects about how the students engaged. We find various recursive patterns coming from the learning process, taking place over a longer period of time. In the first month, the news round demonstrated that the students were not that eager to engage. Very often, the students would read out loud what they had retrieved of news stories. Also, they used their first language, Norwegian, not English, to present what they had found of news. This had consequences for the oral practicing of English. In the second month, the news round got sometimes out of control. Inger took a risk when she and the students engaged into sensitive and controversial topics like immigration issues. In the third month, the news round revealed that the students were more willingly to engage with the news. They responded to Inger's questions and they were curious. They started going behind the headlines, but most importantly, the students engaged more with English and reflected upon the news. What did the enacting of the news round show? Let us summarize. It showed, among others, that in the beginning, the students were hesitant on accepting the learning activity. After it was introduced, the students often answered in Norwegian, not in English. It took some time before they started with oral practicing of English. The students often read out loud the headlines in English. It also took some time before they started drawing their own conclusions. So, to get a reflection process going is challenging. The student had challenges in answering the big why behind the news. Instead, they often describe what, meaning explanation of what they see, not necessarily making a larger conclusion, explaining the why behind the news story. The students can search and retrieve information, but they require mentoring to fill the gaps to understand the larger context behind the headlines. In sum, it is demanding to make the news round a success. From you, it requires that you can moderate and challenge your students to engage into a reflection process. For the students to understand what happens behind the news headlines and to address the larger context, they need pre-knowledge on social issues in society.